Fine. Wonderful.
So, revolutionary greetings once again, comrades. This, of course, the Consciousness Study Group. We meet every Thursday to actually read the philosophy of decolonizing Africa, written by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. But with the main three purposes, the decolonization of Africa has to has to involve the unification of Africa, the liberation of Africa, and the development of Africa. That's when we actually see the decolonization. We can say Africa is decolonized because its people or its continent is developed, its people are united, and its people are also liberated, that there's no forces that control Africa. That's the Africa I want to see. So this book is a short book, but it's very in-depth book that give us clear analysis on what's going on, make us understand and consciously know what should be done. So yeah, it's very important that we engage on this. So feel most welcome. As usual, we continue the classes and we do our reading every time and again. So today we'll be proceeding with our reading, but we can do a recap a bit because we were discussing the theory of relativity. And the theory of relativity, as you can see, we'll be starting with a paragraph before that start with it is important. It is impossible to conceive. That's what we discussed last time. And now we can proceed to our class today. We read a paragraph and then we share our thinking, as usual. So feel most welcome. Comrades who are joining us, who will be joining us online, feel welcome. Those who are with us here, feel most welcome from wherever you are. And let's proceed together. So thank you all for attending, and thank you for all those who will be listening to us. Just to give a brief background is that we are still in the philosophy in retrospect. We are almost finishing the chapter 1. In chapter 1, we are taking philosophy back. If it was to be in the modern words, we'll say we are taking it back to 80s and 70s, so that you can see how it was then. Then you can be able to understand from the origin where are we coming from. The reason why we are starting philosophy in retrospect is that we be conscious enough from where the beginning of the universe was to where it's heading us, even move with the liberation. Where did it start from? What's the position we take from the beginning? How do we understand the universe from the beginning? Because that understanding will really help us on how we move forward, how we prioritize everything else, and how we fight this journey towards the liberation. So that's where we've come from. We've looked two main ideologies. We look at the idealism as an ideology, and we are now looking at the materialism, where we've come across words like philosophical materialism, dialectical movement, categorical conversion. We are now coming across the word like theory of relativity. We've been discussing a lot of course, both in the categorical conversion. We've been looking into a lot of, we've discussed logical things or logical conceptual tools like constructionism, reductionism, and nominalism, and now we also look at the scientific aspect. So this is where we are, and we appreciate everybody who have been joining us. If you haven't maybe come across our videos, go to our YouTube channel to get more of what we do. So without wasting my time, we will start by reading the paragraph on the screen, starting with the word "it is important." So let me get to who can read for us that paragraph. It is important. Zanella, welcome. Zanella is a new comrade from Kenya. Hope so.
Yeah, sure. I'm from Kenya. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Welcome, Zanella. I see also comrade Hegel Mwash from also Kenya. We met today. Doctor, he's a doctor, of course. I think, Sister Myra, you are also in the field of doctors, or something close to that. Sister Myra.
No, I'm more in IT and databases.
Oh, IT and databases.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very important. So you have the doctors, you have the ITs here, and you have other comrades in the room. DJ Mr. P runs, of course, a radio program, and Brother Joseph is in the environment, seriously environmental, with some serious background. And Sister Ida is also here with us. So we are a group of people with various expertise and various skills that can help together to help the continent. We also come from different groupings, seriously. Others come from different Pan-African groupings, but here we meet to absorb the knowledge, to take the knowledge and see how can that knowledge help us move forward. So as usual, I'll ask you, of course, Mr. P, if you can read for us the first paragraph, then Sister Ida or anybody else will help us read the second paragraph, starting with that according to this objection. So the first paragraph, you are reading it. In fact, tie the paragraph that starts with the word the dialectical materialism position. then move it to the next paragraph, which it is impossible. All these paragraphs we read in the last class, but it will give us a good body in power studies.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. The dialectical materialist position on mind must be distinguished from an epiphenomenalist one. For the former, mind is a development from matter. For the latter, it is merely something which accompanies the activity of matter. It is impossible to conceal the fact that through the ages, materialism has been the butt of numerous quips. The most fashionable criticism in antiquity was on the question of purpose and consciousness. It was felt by the critics of materialism that there were certain, usually undisclosed, conceptual difficulties to prevent the emergence of purpose and consciousness from what is without purpose and without consciousness. This kind of objection has been met in the discussion of categorical conversion. A more important objection to materialism is alleged to be provided by the theory of relativity. This objection is important because dialectical materialism itself upholds science.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, brother.
So let's first of all digest that. Of course, we did in the last class, but let's digest that and see what other people share there in their thinking. What do you remember about this? Because the first aspect talks about the two issues here, the phenomenalist and the dialectical materialist position. And they say that for the dialectical materialist position, of course, the dialectical materialist position view mind as actually a development of matter, or a development from matter. Like mind is a secondary category of matter, or is a derivative of matter. For example, we do talk of mind and brain. So the mind actually comes from the brain. Without the brain, you can't mind. You can't have a mind without the brain. But the brain is the physical organ of the mind, of the physical organ in the body, that then produce minding or thinking. And therefore, mind or thinking is...
Addressing Pan-Africans, fight for Africa, for all Africans. Comrades, power! The African man is the first man on this planet. And therefore, anything that goes on in this world is the concern of an African man.
Brother Joseph, have you been hacked?
Hello?
No,
Yeah, what's going on there?
What's
going on there, brother?
Apologies for that. It wasn't Brother Joseph.
Oh, you touched something by accident. You touched the wrong button.
Yeah, it wasn't him. Of course, there were things that were playing on my audio during the solidarity movement today. So it played by the WhatsApp when my microphone was on.
Oh, I see. But it came through Brother Joseph's mic. It
seems so. So in the first paragraph, I was trying to explain a bit what we covered last time. But here, the dialectical materialist position on mind must be distinguished from a phenomenalist one. For dialectical materialist position, which is our position, is that mind is developed from matter. And we've gone through sometimes back on the categories of conversion, where we have the brain and the mind. That brain goes through categorical conversion to produce mind, or to have minding or thinking. And therefore, thinking is actually a derivative from the mind, from the brain. And therefore, to this case, brain become the primary reality of matter, while minding or thinking become a secondary reality of matter. So you cannot mind or think without a brain. While in the latter, what they say in the Latin, the phenomenalist, it is that the mind is merely something which accompanies the matter, the activity of the matter. That brain, the mind is merely what accompanies the brain. Which that's not true. The mind and the brain are not in the same level. They're in different categories or different conversion, like from the solid to liquid to vapor. You cannot say vapor and liquid or solid are the same. But vapor or solid or liquid come from the solid after through categorical conversion or through heating and everything else. you get something else as a product. So mind and brain cannot be the same, but one must rely on the other, or one depend on the other in another category of what you call category of matter. So sometimes people do think that when we talk of matter in this case, we only talk about the physical. Even the non-physical or the non-tangible are matter, but in different categories, you see? So that's why in the other aspects, in the beginning, we say that actually matter is the primary reality, but not the sole reality. When you said matter is the primary reality, here we even refer to physical matter. For example, when you talk of the brain, you talk of the quantity, and those other things. They are only the primary reality. And from that primary category, you can find any other category you want. You can find mind from the brain, you can find quality from the quantity, you can find energy from mass, and everything else can come out. So even when you talk other aspect of either the spiritual, those who talk of spiritual or ideas or everything else, they are actually a derivative from a primary thing. You cannot have ideas if you don't have a brain to think first of all of those ideas. If you don't have a brain to conceive them, you cannot have idea. You cannot not even be spiritual without a body or the soul or what you call in the body. So how do you say you are spiritual? The spirituality aspect of an individual must come from a physical somebody or from a heart or from a soul or from something like that. And that must be in a physical being. So there cannot exist any spirituality without the first of all spirituality being derived from somewhere. Even when you talk of our spirituality or the spirits or the whatever, the ancestors, their spirits actually come from physical thing. But even that spirit, where it exists, it is not actually different from matter, but it is another category of matter, you see. It's out of the matter in another category. It's not the primary, but it can be found from the primary. As I've said, we can get actually something like a vapor out of a solid after heating it. So even spirituality of somebody say that I'm spiritual, the spirituality must come from somewhere. You see, when they give an example of the word that I think, therefore I am, the word I in the word I think is already physical something. What is I that think? What is I? Thinking is another category of matter, as we are saying, is category of matter that can come from the brain, because the brain gives you the ability to mind or think. Therefore, the I is not something that is elusive, it's something that's tangible, it's somebody. So then that justifies our position that matter can be a primary reality and any other reality can come in. So this is what is coming different here, that actually the mind is not accompanying the brain. The brain can produce minding, and therefore minding or mind is a product of the brain. Now, it goes ahead a bit to say that it is impossible to consider the fact that through the ages, materialism has been the butt of numerous scripts. Of course, people have been challenging it, criticizing it and its purpose in terms of consciousness. So this is what you are actually learning in our last class, but you now want to proceed to the lesson for today. I see Brother Carrington is here. He has been our resident physicist who has been helping us a bit to understand some physics words here, because this page is full of physics a lot. A lot of physics is discussed here. But anybody who has any question in regards to what we were discussing last time, or any point that they want to raise on the previous topics that have been read here, the previous paragraphs that have been read here, you're free to share your thinking before we join our class for today. We are continuing the theory of relativity. And the last sentence says that this objection is important because the electrical materialism itself upholds science. The difference between idealism and materialism is that idealists do not actually take into consideration of science, the empirical evidence. They don't take into consideration of science. They just imagine that ideas can come in, but they don't take into consideration that before somebody think, either the nerve system and the brain has to do something. That's the scientific things that have to go through. That's something that has been done to the brain to produce that thinking on the minding. And that's where materialism actually supersedes idealism. That materialism take into consideration science and logic. It's not only logic by saying, yes, you're beautiful, but even beauty is a process. Somebody has either to do something or is born somewhere or maintain herself, something like that, to be beautiful. You can't just say that beauty cannot be explained. Like now, when they say the existence, like for example, the existence of God, somebody cannot explain how. But there must be some scientific backing or justification in anything we do. And that's where the materialist position comes from. But anybody is free to ask any question or share their thinking in regards to those two paragraphs, or even share something in regards to what I've said, then you can proceed to the paragraph for today. Anybody who is ready to add on anything?
I'm still digesting it, brother.
Okay. Noted. Anybody else? Anybody else want to say something? We can proceed with our reading then. If there's no further concern, we can proceed with our reading for today. So our reading for today is actually, as I've said, is a continuation of the paragraph above. This now starts from the word according to this objection. And I request Brother Carrington to read this for us and explain it a bit as we open up the conversation for people to share their thinking. Brother Carrington? Oh, Carrington is also from Kenya, but outside. So the Kenyans are trying to wake up. Thanks for the good show you people are putting across. We need more conscious people to come on board.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Pigeon. By the way, everyone, I would like to bring to your attention that Brother Pigeon took part in a very interesting, very insightful interview in one of the major media stations in Kenya and East Africa called remind me what was the name of the show? I've forgotten the name of the show, the specific show.
It's called is it the Hot Seat, the Spice FM?
Yes, Hot Seat from Spice FM. Is Spice FM belonging to Standard, right? Or
very good.
Yes, Standard.
It was on Monday, wasn't it? Or Tuesday?
Yes.
Yes,
it was very insightful. So I'd recommend very strongly that everybody watches. He brings sort of the things we discussed from this very rarefied intellectual space to very practical concerns in his understanding of how to solve East Africa's and Africa's challenges and the opportunities that come with it. So I'd strongly recommend it. Sister,
in fact,
let me watched it. Yeah.
Yes, I watched it more than once, and let me add that it was impressive that he brought concisicism into the discussion. You know, it's like, whoa, how many people do you know who can discuss this? So well done.
Yeah. I think to remind us that we are not just discussing theory, it could be very practical and very insightful in public discussions. So that is very.
If you could just allow me quickly, Brother Carrington, to say I've already congratulated Brother Pigeon on that interview. It's very superb. I mean, very high level. I've also tried to share it with many people. So yes, in good studies. Really, I was very, very pleased about the interview. Very mature, very purposeful, and insightful. Thanks.
And I think
thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, after you.
You proceed.
I was just saying that.
Can you proceed? Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I know you're not big on praise, but I was just saying I think soon after that there was somebody from the East African sort of community because the media got interested in the ideas of Pan-Africanism and how they could be practically achieved. So there have been discussions expanding discussions in the media station. And just an update, also there were rumors, although they were unfounded, of a common East African currency. So I think this idea of a borderless, free, coordinated Africa is really becoming a political, at least something that is in the political consciousness of Africans. And I think that is a good sign. And it is our opportunity to try and pinch a direction, give a direction to the sentiment, to public sentiment. Thank you. So today we are talking about this, I think the second paragraph. So I'll read it and then take direction from Brother Pigeon. It is impossible to conceal that through the ages, materialism has been the bat. Is that the paragraph, Brother Pigeon, or the next one?
No, it's the next one. I think I've read that.
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, I think I remember Brother Pigeon reading that.
Okay, Brother Carrington.
Yeah, it's according to this objection.
Brother Carrington.
Yeah.
We read the paragraph, it is impossible, in our last class, but you never discussed it extensively. So just read the paragraph starting with according to this objection, so that once you are done, then you can be able now to start with sharing your thinking in the paragraph above and this paragraph. Then now we can open up the conversation. But you read the previous paragraph, but you didn't extensively discuss it. But now we need to start from according to this objection.
Okay. Okay.
Welcome, brother Kwame is here. Welcome, brother Kwame.
Welcome. I don't know. I prefer calling Elder Kwame. I don't know if he takes offense, but
no,
yeah.
No, he's against being elderly. He's against everything in the age issues.
Okay, so then I'll use brother Kwame. Okay, yeah. Welcome, brother Kwame.
I just want to be referred to as an old man in a very disrespectful
way. Your microphone, Kwame, your microphone, brother.
We can't hear you.
No, I'm saying that
that's better.
I'm happy. I'm just saying that it's being called an old man that disrespectful. That is what I don't like. That's all. Otherwise, I'm okay.
Yeah. Fair. Maybe I should remind Africans that the average age in the continent is 17. So even Brother Pigeon here is an elder. So yeah.
Oh, Brother Pigeon.
Just so we note, in our culture, we celebrate age. And we celebrate age. For us as Africans, age is to be celebrated, is to be respected. And those of us in the UK will bear witness with me that we find in the UK that age can be disrespected. And so they had to bring in the Equalities Act 2010 that says that there should be no discrimination on the basis of age. And when that happens, it's called ageism. So so discriminating against someone on the basis of their age is not against the law. Of course, there are African countries that do not have this law, and some that don't even understand it. So you find our people sometimes talking in a way that those of us here find very challenging, to say the least. Anyway, let me pause there.
Yeah, it is a fair point. It is a fair point. Yeah. So yes, moving on to the next paragraph, I will read it and then we'll proceed from there. According to this objection, relativity's merging of space-time constitutes an objection to materialism, whether dialectical or serene. There is a nagging feeling that with the merging of space and time, matter's life in space and its movement in time are snuffed out. But this nagging feeling can be soothed by the reflection that the only independent reality which philosophical materialism allows is matter. And since absolute time and absolute space must be conceived as independent if they're absolute, the way they are incompatible, in a way, they are incompatible with philosophical materialism. The abandonment of both would therefore be so far from representing the disgrace of philosophical materialism that would be its triumph.
No, that it would be its triumph.
That it would be its triumph. Yeah.
Its triumph.
Thank you. Should I just proceed, Brother Pigeon?
Yeah, you're free to start sharing your thinking, and I think Brother Kwame will help me share a bit, but you are free to start sharing your thinking.
Okay. So this is a very heavy paragraph, even for me who has tried to go through school in these things. But I will try and break it up into small parts and connect with the first paragraph. So, relativity...
Brother Carrington, before you continue, let me say to all of us here that Brother Carrington, who read, is also our resident physicist, meaning that he has studied physics, understands it. And so, because consensusism has a lot of physics in it, in terms of the philosophy, we are fortunate to have him with us. When we used to meet face-to-face in Clapham, in London, we had scientists also with us. And when we came to some of these ideas, he would basically go to the board. We had a board, and he would go there and explain, which kind of reflects the experience of Nkrumah and his colleagues in Flagstaff House. So I just want us all to note that Brother Carrington is our resident physicist. And so as we go forward, he will explain a lot of the physics for us. And then once he's explained the physics, we will then, along with him, then break it down into what it means for African liberation, unification, and development. Yeah, so I just thought I should make that before he continues. Thank you. Brother Carrington, continue.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will try my best so that we try and move together. The theory of relativity comes out of philosophy, actually, a combination of philosophy and physics. And it should not be surprising because, as some of you are aware, physics and chemistry and biology, the sciences, come out of the processes of natural philosophy. So in most cultures, including European cultures and African cultures, there was a combination of natural philosophy and philosophy. Our way in of ourselves and the ways of nature, roughly. So the European culture decided to separate these two. But occasionally, there are certain thinkers, certain scientists, certain academics who try to combine these ideas of philosophy and science. And sometimes it becomes very productive. And the theory of relativity and the quantum theory is an example of the combinations of philosophical conceptions of the universe with physical conceptions of the universe. Isaac Newton, who developed our first collective theory of gravitation, theory meaning a specific model that can make specific materialist projections of the universe, predictions of the universe, and can be tested, had to contend with the problem of space and time, the problem of the location in which matter moves. So you're arguing that matter moves in response to gravitation. So this is the sun and the earth is going around the sun. But where is this sun-earth system? It's a very difficult question. What is the nature of the thing that this sun-earth system moves in? It's a very difficult question. So Newton and other classical physicists, classical mechanics, concluded that there must be a fixed background stage where the motions of matter occur. And this fixed background stage is absolute time, absolute space. And similarly, we have an absolute time from which we should measure any motion. So you have two metaphysical concepts, metaphysical assumptions, that there is such a thing as space and it's absolute. There is such a thing as time and it's absolute. And it is on the basis of this that we can build our mechanical understanding of the universe. It was a very effective way of viewing the world. It is responsible in part for the Industrial Revolution in Britain and later on France, Germany, and other continental European countries and Japan in the turn of the century. However, there were certain contradictions, again, philosophical contradictions in this theory of absolute space, absolute time, and referent motion, motion moving, motion occurring, but referring to these concepts of absolute space and absolute time that were unresolvable within the picture of classical mechanics. And now, Einstein, a Jewish physicist from Switzerland and later on settled in Germany, starts to think very, very carefully, referring to philosophical understandings of absolute space and absolute time. Philosophy is very effective when it examines unexamined assumptions. So Einstein starts to think about these things and argues that the observable contradictions, sorry?
Yeah, sorry about that. Continue.
Yeah, the observable contradictions that we are seeing in our physical theory, classical mechanics, and electromagnetism arise out of us considering space and time as absolute and independent things where motion occurs. So Einstein wants to develop an actual physical, tangible space and time which participates in the dynamics of the universe, not independently of the objects of the universe, the matter of the universe. So it became clear to Einstein that the first step was to combine space and time into one single picture called space-time. And this is what the Osagefo is referring to, space-time. So conceptually, space and time are linked because they are linked through motion. And they're linked through motion because you cannot move in space without moving in time, as we all can understand from driving cars, walking, aging, as Brother Christian has talked about. Now, after the combination of space and time, he wanted to consider the interaction of this matter with this space and time, which is arguing is not a metaphysical absolute thing. It is something that participates in the dynamics of the universe. And by now, you should have awoken to the fact that something that participates in the dynamics of the universe is material, is tangible, is matter, is physical, and therefore is subject to materialism. So Einstein does this in around 1908 to 1915, spends 7 years thinking very carefully about how these two things interact. You've said space-time is physical, you've said matter is physical. How do these physical things interact? And out of there comes the general theory of relativity. The special theory of relativity only combined space and time and considered motion on space and time. The combination of these two things into one theory resulted in the general theory of relativity. And he found out that essentially what happens is that matter curves space-time. And therefore, when a planet or something lighter is moving in this space-time, because it has to follow this curvature, it essentially ends up moving in a circle. And this is what we call gravitational attraction of two bodies. Now, space-time has moved from this fixed metaphysical absolute stage. It is this dynamical thing that is participating in the drama of the universe. Now, let's get back to Osagefo. Osagefo is saying that this could be used as an attack, right? It could be used as an attack that basically the fact that we think that matter is moving on a stage means that this stage is not matter. And if it is not matter, it is not subject to the laws of materialism. It is not subject to our materialist understanding of the universe. And therefore, we have a physical theory, a theory of physics that contradicts the philosophy of materialism. And therefore, materialism must be discarded. But Osagefo is telling us, consider that this thing is interacting with matter. And if it is interacting with matter, as we have discussed before, it is a physical thing. And if it is a physical thing, it is subject to the laws of matter. It is a matter. It is a material thing. And if it is a material thing, it is subject to materialism. And therefore, exhaustively, actually, the theory of relativity, as it has come to be accepted, by the way, in the circles of modern physics, is a material theory. It is a theory about the materiality of space-time. And therefore, it is not a contradiction of philosophical materialism. It is actually support for philosophical materialism, i.e. the theory of relativity requires philosophical materialism for it to work. So sorry about for ranting, but that's the big idea. Thank you.
Brother Carrington, don't say that. You're not ranting. But Brother Carrington, can I take you back? Are you able to talk about ether and the problem that Einstein had to solve, and why he had to invent this theory of relativity? So if you can talk about how the experiment of the ether failed spectacularly, and physics had to look for a different explanation. I think that will help those of us. But before you do that, can I once again remind us all that what Brother Carrington is explaining, which is a physics, what Nkrumah is saying is that if you want to lead this continent, if you want to lead the unification, the total liberation, unification, development of Africa, you must develop your consciousness to the highest level. It doesn't mean you have to understand everything, but you need to have a state of mind which is arising from your understanding of the universe, such that you can have the perspective to combat our enemies. Because remember that the systems that we are fighting to liberate Africa, these systems use the best and the highest levels of scientific understanding. And if they have that, you cannot sharpen iron with wood. It is iron that sharpens iron. So if you want to take on imperialists who have control over scientific knowledge, then you must better be sure that you understand certain basics. Otherwise, you are going to a war that you cannot fight. And this is why the youth, and the Pigeon was right when he did the presentation at the radio station we shared with us. He was right to say that the youth, some of whom I think are asleep, the majority who are asleep, because Brother Pigeon made the point, they spend their time on social media, watching TikTok and this and that, rather than directing their energies into acquiring the philosophy and the ideology that they need to liberate the continent and create a better life for themselves and their children going forward. Because some of us are old men, as we've been reminded. So we will go very soon, but we'll leave the planet and Africa for the young ones. And they have to make sure that they better be sure that they have what it takes to take on the enemy. So I'll pause there and let Brother Carrington explain the crisis that arose in physics, which led to Einstein coming in and creating this new physics. Thank you, Brother Carrington. Carry on.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go back to the combination of space and time. So Einstein is doing this in roughly 1905. And I have talked about the contradictions in classical mechanics. So it is these contradictions that Elder Christian has asked me to unpack, and let us unpack them. Physicists had a very engineering understanding of the universe at that time. Remember, it is the time of the Industrial Revolution. They understood that for any wave to move, to propagate anywhere, it required a medium. This was what they understood with sound, For me to clap my hands and for you to hear, it has to propagate through a medium. For anything to move, any sort of wave to move, it has to move within a medium. And therefore, they invented in the late 1800s, just at the height of the Industrial Revolution, at the height of the slave trade, they invented a concept called the ether. The ether was, or ether, it was E-T-H-E-R. It was hypothesized to be the medium in which light travels. It carries light, just like air, wood carries sound, solid, carries sound as vibrations. So light is carried, vibrations of this ether are essentially what we call light. Now, following these engineering principles, we know that when you are moving towards a wave that is propagating, when you're moving towards a wave that is propagating, the frequency, you hear this with ambulances, when it is approaching you, the pitch goes high and then it goes and lowers as it moves away from you. So there are certain tests you can carry out regarding your hypothesis that there is something, a material called the ether, which was actually an idealist position because there had been no physical conception of the ether. But you can nonetheless test the effect of your motion on how the ether carries the light wave. So if you are moving towards the light wave, you should see something different as when you're moving away from the light wave. The speed of the wave should change depending on your motion in this universal substance called the ether. Several experiments were carried out, but the most famous is called the Michelson-Morley experiment, I think conducted by 2 American physicists. They created a device, a very simple mechanical device that sends light in opposite directions. So the light that is going in this direction, if we assume that this is the direction of the ether, of the wave, it will be carried by the ether and move faster than this one. And therefore, when you reflect them back into each other, you should expect to see something different. You should expect to see that there's a slight, it can be slight, but it must be detectable because you're scientists, you're trying to measure detectable things, but nonetheless, the signal should be there. They carried out this experiment several times and it failed. Now, again, because there were some idealist physicists and some materialist physicists, the idealist physicists said, well, this experiment has failed because there are certain extra terms that we need to add to the equations governing the behavior of the ether to sort of help it make the thing and to account for the fact that these changes cannot be detected. And they did that. They modified the model to accommodate the non-detection of the ether. Einstein and other cultures, other groups of physicists took the sort of, it is called positivist, it is called materialist, but these are roughly the same thing in this context. What they ended up saying is that this thing is actually telling us something very, very specific. It is telling us that this ether thing does not exist and the speed of light is constant, regardless of the direction you're traveling to. So if a car is approaching you, if a lorry carrying, I don't know, bananas is approaching you with lights, with its headlamps on, the light does not travel faster because it is moving towards you as opposed to it moving away from you. The speed of light is constant in all frames of reference. And to accept this statement that the speed of light is constant, Einstein ended up having to combine space and time, and to make sure that space and time are physical objects that could accommodate the constant speed of light, i.e., Einstein had to essentially convert conceptually and actually through mathematics, convert space and time from these absolute metaphysical things and convert space and time into a physical object participating in the universe. So these were the physical contradictions at the turn of the 20th century that caused this further development of physics. Thank you.
Brother Carrington, very interesting. Now, they told us that we were the dead people. They told us that talking about our ancestors the way we did as Africans was not meaningful, that we didn't understand what you were doing. They told us that the past is the past, the present is the present, the future is the future, and that when you are praying today, you cannot call ancestors. Yeah? Although we know that when Christians are praying, they say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they are ancestors. Now, but by combining space and time the way Einstein did, he brought alive our beliefs that the past is not radically different, if you like, from the future, in the sense that the past is part of the present and the future is part of what? Is part of the present. So he's unified space and time. So our ancestors who lived 1 million years ago, yeah, okay, that's a long time. But then Einstein has unified space and time. And as Brother Carrington explained, he then goes on to create the general theory of relativity, where he now combines space, time, and another dimension. Now, so I'm trying to say that to draw our attention to why conscientism draws on relativity in the way it does. And so, Brother Carrington, thank you very, very much, because that crisis in physics, because now they could not explain. Now, so they said light travels through ether, and no ether existed. So now, how does light travel? So light travels without a medium, and that is what Einstein then used. So, so looking at the paragraph we've read, that you read, and the previous paragraph, this paragraph starts with, according to this objection. What objection is that? What objection is it that this paragraph starts with? Yeah. Now, the objection, which a lot of people, believe in, is that matter, if you like, cannot think, or matter cannot have purpose. They think matter cannot have will and purpose. So the question is, when the Earth is rotating around the sun and creating seasons, 4 seasons in the west, 2 seasons for us in the south, rainy season and dry and wet season, and so on. Now, are we saying, so the question is the Earth, does the Earth have purpose? Are you saying that, do you think that the purpose of the Earth is to make sure that we have 4 seasons? Is the purpose of the Earth to say that I want you to have sunlight because I'm going to rotate on my axis? Yeah, because if I stand in one place and I don't rotate, only half of the Earth will have sunlight, the other half will not, and the other half that don't have sunlight will be in perpetual darkness. So guess what? Why don't I rotate on my axis? But that is not enough. If I just rotate on my axis in the same place, that is not enough. It will not. Why don't I also start moving? And that is revolution. Now, why don't I start moving around the sun? Now, idealists will tell you that that was created by a being or a spirit and that had that idea. But we have seen that in fact that what is happening can be explained using physical laws. There is a curvature of space that leads to that rotation and the revolution. So we don't need, so in other words, there is no need for any spirit to make sure that what is happening. Yeah, but the point I am raising is, what do we think? Do we think that the earth has a mind to say that I should revolve and rotate so that life on earth will persist? I mean, is that what we think? Or is that,
I don't think so.
Basically, what do we think?
I don't think so.
That is a question. Now, so if the earth, so if you don't think that the earth can think and has purpose, then because we know it's revolving and rotating, is it an accident that we have sunlight, we have rainy season? So is it an accident? I mean, what do we think? Anyway.
Okay. And I really should keep quiet so that DJ Mr. P also speaks. But just to add on to your first point and to respond to the second point. The first point of our ancestors, and the past, present, and the future. Brother Pigeon can quickly type this, and you will see that it is a real quote from Albert Einstein, that for us believing physicists, the past, the present, and the division between the past, the present, and the future is merely but a stubborn illusion. He is trying to say something very interesting, that this idea of combining space and time is not a very innocent idea. The same way you think that Ghana is a physically real place, that you can get on a plane and go to Ghana, is the same way you should think that the past is a physically real place that is physically accessible. And therefore your ancestors are physically real. The tree that you cut down from last year is a physically real. It still exists somewhere. It is not very innocent to combine space and time. People are laughing. Yeah. It's a strange idea.
Yeah, the gentleman laughing is called Brother Patrick. He is one of our. Yes, Brother Patrick. He has been with us since the days we met in face to face, and yeah. Thank you for that. So, well, so at this point, we'll hear from everyone. Please feel free to share your thinking. I'm helping Brother Pigeon because I know he's been on a vigil. He's been working very hard for us on our behalf. So I'm going to help him today. But Brother Pigeon, if you feel you want to come in, please feel free to do so. Yeah. Okay, Brother Pigeon. Okay. Brother Pigeon, are you there? Yeah. Okay. So let's open the floor. Please share your thinking. You can't combine the current paragraph with the paragraph before, which is it is impossible to conceal. And then this paragraph, and so on. I mean, I have a lot to say, but I cannot be the only one talking, because what we are reading is very exciting. It's one of the most exciting parts of African philosophy. Because what you're reading is African philosophy. And our ancestors knew what they were doing. You know, after all, we know that modern physics, or if you like philosophy, these are all, I mean, we know that, of course, physics has developed the science to a new level and so on. But, it all started with us. Anyway, so let's open the floor. Let's hear from everyone. The time is 8:07. So let's start with Brother DJ, Mr. P, because he had his hand up as well. But just so you know, you don't need to put your hand up. Everyone will speak. If I come to you, you don't want to speak, just ask me to pass on, and I want to think more about the matter, and then we'll come back to you. We are all equal in this space in terms of us as thinkers. Yeah, to think, it means that we all think about the same thing in the same way. And sometimes your thinking might be wrong, but you still have the right to think. Even if it is wrong, you still have that right to think. And it doesn't mean that because you think, your thinking is right. Yeah, but you have a right to think. So share your thinking. And by sharing your thinking, we also learn. And if you share your thinking, it doesn't mean that everyone will agree. Some people will disagree, but we always say that share your thinking, even if you disagree with someone's thinking, and do so respectfully and lovingly. Yeah, because we are not in competition here. We are here to learn from one another. Okay, so so let us speak with care and African love, professional love, if you like, to one another. Thank you very much, brother DJ Mr. P. Please, you can speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Kwame. Thank you, Carrington. Thanks very much for your explanations. I've got some questions. Because I was thinking about what you said, brother
DJ Mr. P. If you have questions for Carrington, you must hold on. We want to hear from those who want to share their thinking on what we've read.
Okay,
of course, if you have questions for Brother Carrington, let that come later, and they will answer them.
Okay, no problem.
Unless you want that clarification, so you can then contribute. If that's what you want, that's fine. Yeah. But if you just wanted to answer questions, you can wait. Let's hear people's thinking about what he has said. What do you think? What is your thinking about these paragraphs? And then we'll come to any questions from Brother Carrington. Share your thinking on the paragraph, or do you want to pass?
I'll pass because I think my questions are based on what he said, and I'm still trying to understand the bits.
Okay.
So it's okay. I'll pass.
Okay. So we'll come back to you later. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go to Sister Ida, please.
The Sister Ida understand, but I loved what I heard about, or I think I heard about time and space. The past,
so share your thinking.
The present,
Remember, you have a right to share your thinking.
Present, and I'm not sure about the future, but then being maybe one. So if that is the case, it might explain why sometimes. Sorry, am I shouting? It might explain.
No, you're not shouting. You're fine.
Oh, okay. Why sometimes people's ideas, without them knowing about it, come out of maybe the past or maybe the future, but they don't recognize it, but others might, because maybe they've read about it, or they've heard about it, or they've seen it. So I have a feeling that some of what we were told tonight tells us that we shouldn't exclude the likelihood of anything, I say. But where would I find that in this? Maybe independent reality, which philosophical materialism allows. And you see, he kept saying absolute. And to me, absolute means that there's no other difference. I mean, it's
precisely. So, Sister Ida, what absolute space meant was that space by itself can exist by itself separately, independently of time. And absolute time also meant that time can exist independently by itself. That was the thinking before Einstein.
Oh, okay.
So the idea was that space was, if you think of space as a cat, yeah. So space was a cat, and that cat can live by itself. And if you think of time as a mouse, that mouse can also live independently, and they have nothing to do with each other. So they are all separate beings, separate things, And that is how the universe was. That's what we mean by absolute. If that helps for you to continue your contribution.
Well, then maybe, but you say that was in the past. So what?
No, that was before Einstein. Yeah. That was before Einstein's theory of relativity. Yes.
But maybe the independence of things, or what I was hearing. I mean, my way of thinking of what I was hearing is that maybe there is an independence to ideas. There's an independence to what happens at different times, but might be repeated in different places. So I think I'm half hearing that somewhere along the line there might be an independence also of ideas. So I think, to me, absolute means independence in my head.
But that's what it means here as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. That's what it means here. So when you say that independent ideas are independent, what do you have in mind?
I have in mind that okay, like the bit about
very good.
And sorry, like the bit about ancestors. That ancestors are not necessarily totally departed, or that they exist in our time and space as well as their own time and space, maybe. So that would be the absolute bit, or the independence bit. Apart from that, I don't think I can go any further.
In what sense? In what sense is it independent? I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So in what sense? So who is independent here?
That the past and the present and the future are one in a way. That they're independent of each other, and yet they're dependent on each other. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, yes. Rubbish? I think I understand what you're saying now. No, it's not rubbish. Don't say that, please.
Oh no. Well,
no, it's not rubbish. Now I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that. I think because we heard so much, to me that is what I would get out of what I heard, in a way, if I were prepared to expand my thinking and think in that direction.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's go to Brother Russ, please. Brother Russ, I know you have been you have access to certain knowledge to do with the Dogon and others. I think it's a good time for you to share some of your knowledge with us with respect to what we are reading, because you know that the Dogon people were privy to stars that could not be seen even by telescopes, modern telescopes, and yet they had knowledge of these things. Thank you. So yeah, Brother Russ, are you able to talk? I know South Africa has with power. Are you able to speak? Thank you. Okay, Brother Russ may not be ready, so let me come back to him later. Brother Kuku. Brother Kuku.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to do justice to the topic this evening, but I'll make a try. What I think is that very often we tend to have a short mind and don't think that there are other possibilities within the space, or within the context, or maybe want of a better word, but that we just see things as fixed. But nothing fixed except the fact that matter is primary. I mean, we can't get away from that. You cannot do anything without matter to begin with. As was pointed out earlier on, even to be spiritual, you need to have a body. to do any conversion, you need to have some physical material. So, but in understanding it or in realigning it, there's always possibilities for that. It's just like before 1945. It's 45, when the atomic bomb was dropped on Japan. Most people could not conceive that such material coming from the earth could do so much damage. But we now know that once you reconfigure those materials, it can cause tremendous, it probably even destroy the whole earth, the world. So it's a matter of being open and being able to see patterns, to be able to see the moving parts or the unmoving parts and make sense of it. My question is, Brother Christian, in the context of relativity and so on, where do we, how can we address the issue of quantum physics now? Because that's a new element that says that an object can be in the same place, in multiple places at the same time. How do we deal with that?
You've asked a very good question, Brother Joseph, and we'll deal with that. In fact, this paragraph we've read is only drawing our attention to this issue because of purpose and so on. Now, the largest chunk of this topic is in chapter 4 when we get there. So,
sorry, what's that word?
So what word? The relativity.
The last sentence. The last sentence.
What? I don't remember now.
Exactly. Okay, go.
Sorry, what did I say?
Purpose.
Yeah, and I was saying that
the mentioning of the relativity.
Oh, purpose. Yeah, relativity. So I'm saying that because this chapter is saying, what is philosophy if you look at the past? That's why the chapter is called Philosophy in Retrospect. So it looks at the past. And later on, when it gets to chapter 4, the question then becomes, so Africans, what should be our philosophy? So chapter 4 then answers that question. And in answering that question, we will then see that what we are discussing come into its own. Perhaps I should also mention that, because we are not necessarily aware of it, that what Einstein's contribution and how it helped us in terms of our thinking is that the theory was that life was only light is made up of particles. That was the theory at the time, and Einstein and others then showed that light, yes, is a particle, but light is also a wave. Yeah, like the way sound waves move. Light also is a wave. So it turns out that light is not only a particle. Light is both a wave, is both a particle and a wave. Now, what does that mean for us? It means that Africans should stop seeing themselves as individualists, because the whole point of Western philosophy in terms of individualism, the idea that you're an individual, that you have inherent value, that you can think for yourself, you can live by yourself, you don't need anybody, you can just do what you like, society can go to hell, you don't have to worry about everybody else, you can just just do what you like, and you don't have to worry about anybody, even if it takes, that individualism comes from the physical concept that the universe is made up of atoms. And the universe is made up of atoms. Remember, the word atom comes from the Egyptian word atum, A-T-U-M, which was a god in ancient Egypt. That's where the word comes from. So the idea was that the universe was made up of particles, and these particles were atoms, and atoms, as you know, could neither be divided nor destroyed. That was what the theory said at the time. So it meant that that society, if you like, is made up of individuals, and that there's no such thing as society. What you have are only individuals. Now, this is a whole area. We can't go into it now. But the point I am drawing out to you is that this theory of relativity and its link with the wave particle theory of light, which we'll see later, is that we Africans do not see ourselves only as individuals. That we Africans also see ourselves as part of a wave called society. And that society can be current, present society, or it can move across time from the past all the way to the future. And that is why when Africans are praying, you know, sometimes they pray and they call the names of their ancestors. Why? Because we see ourselves, even though we are living now, as part of them, and we see them as part of us. Now, what is the basis in physics for this sort of thinking? Well, there wasn't any until Einstein came along. So what am I saying? I am saying that we now as Africans have a basis in physics to then come into our own and say that, yes, we want liberation. Yes, we want unification. Yes, we want development. Why? Because we're not just individuals. So it's not enough to say that African countries are individual countries, individual sovereign states. So we have Uganda as a sovereign individual state. We have Ghana as an individual sovereign state. So not just are we as human beings not just individuals. Even our countries are not individuals. They can be part of a wave. And that wave is what we are referring to as the unification of Africa. So I am drawing your attention to the fact that some of the things that we are describing can be rooted in our physics. Now, what does that mean? It means that if we understand nature and the laws of nature, we can guide our continent according to the laws of nature. And no one can stop us because we understand the laws of nature. I'll stop there for now. Thank you. So who was speaking? Brother Joseph, I hope I have kind of contributed to what you were saying a bit. So let's now hear from Sister Myra, please. Thank you.
Brother Kwame, the pages, I can't get it to come back. Could you sort it for us?
Brother Pigeon, are you able to sort the page out for us?
Yeah, I think it's Pigbin that's sharing his page, so it's Pigbin that needs to scroll up or scroll down.
Yeah, but Pigeon is very tired. He may have fallen asleep.
Oh dear.
Okay. So yeah, so let me see if I can do that.
Do you have the document, Kwame? Do you have the document?
I have the document. I have the document.
Can you stop him sharing and then you can share?
I've made him host, so it means I have to reclaim the host back, and then I can share.
And then you can stop him sharing and you can share. Yeah.
Yeah, it is he that has to make me host because I am co-host.
Oh dear.
I cannot override the host.
Yeah.
But I can go back and reclaim the host. Hold on, let's see. Okay, Brother Carrington, continue whilst I go out, come back in and reclaim the host. Okay, Brother Carrington, yeah, you carry on.
Just to add also on the question of purpose. Now, you heard Brother Christian talk about purpose, whether the earth has a purpose. I would go back to 3-4 pages behind and talk about the dialectic. Why is it that the earth goes around the sun, or the moon goes around the earth? Actually, what is happening is very similar to a game that we liked playing in Africa of having a rock by a piece of rope and trying to sling it around and just, throw it. What is happening is that the earth wants to escape the gravitational pull of the sun, but it cannot completely escape this gravitational pull. There is a contradiction between two forces: the force that is attracting it to fall towards the earth and the force that wants it to completely escape the gravitational pull and travel in a straight line away from the sun. So the push and pull between these two forces is what is causing the earth to try and escape in a straight line, but nonetheless be attracted to the sun. And the contradiction between these two forces is what is causing the orbit, and is what is causing the seasons, and is what is causing rotation and revolution. So this idea of two opposing forces is a very, very two opposing forces that are balanced is a very, very powerful idea in physics. It is responsible for much of modern physics. The idea that anytime there's an imbalance in a force, there's a very rapid change in a system until there's a balance in the forces, and then things go roughly stable. And then when there's an imbalance, you have rapid changes, and then things stabilize. It's a very important idea to get your mind through when you're trying to understand the universe. So I will say the purpose of the purpose, if the earth has any purpose, is to fulfill this dialectic of forces. It's just following these opposing forces, and all our evolution in the African continent and development out of the African continent in the world is a consequence rather than the purpose of the earth. It is a consequence of this oppositional dynamics between forces. Yeah. So that was something that I had forgotten to add. Another thing I'd forgotten to add, the equation that all of you are familiar with, E is equals to mc squared, is a consequence. I think Joseph Antoine talked about the atomic bomb, so that's why I remembered. E is equals to mc squared is a consequence of the special theory of relativity. And the idea of E is equals to mc squared, directly taken together with nuclear physics and quantum mechanics, led to nuclear technology in general and nuclear weapons in particular in between the 30s, late 30s to 45. Yeah, thank you.
Could I ask Gabriel Carrington a quick question? Is it Carrington?
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. So, brother Patrick, you can't ask a question, but share your thinking first. Questions can come later, if that's okay.
I was just something based on what he said.
Okay. In that case, can
Just
you
a
wait?
clarification of what.
Yeah, it's fine. Can you wait? Let's hear from those who want to share their thinking.
Yeah.
And then we'll come to that. By the way, can everyone see the screen now? Can you see the screen? Is that what?
A bit, please. Could you
Yes, we can.
Okay, so up a bit. Give me a moment. Let me do that.
Yeah, I think Ida, your voice is very low. Your volume is very low.
You mean mine?
Ida? No. You're fine, Kwame. It's the lady that was talking.
Sorry, my phone sometimes goes funny. Sorry.
Yeah, Ida, it's Ida. Yeah, your voice is quiet, man. Your voice is very quiet.
Where did I put this thing? Okay. Right. Do you want to go up or down? You said.
Up, please. Up.
Is that better?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah. So back to us then. Let me know if you need to adjust anything. We've heard from Brother Joseph, we've heard from Brother DJ Mr. P, we've heard from Brother Carrington himself, as he explained. We haven't heard from Sister Myra. I don't think we've heard from Sister Myra. So Sister Myra, are you able to speak now?
So from what Brother Carrington and Brother Kwame have explained, I think what I get is that sentence that says in a way they are incompatible with, so the abandonment of both would therefore be so far from representing the disgrace of philosophical materialism that it would be its triumph. What I understand from that is, for me, it takes my mind back to categorical conversion, and I think Dr. Nkrumah was trying to say that there's an interconnectedness between the different matters, whatever they are, let's say from our history to who we are today, to what we're doing today, to what we will be tomorrow, to the ideas that are formed, to how they are manifested. Everything is sort of connected. It just changes. It just changes form between different matter. And I think here he's saying that you can't look at things. I think kind of what Sister Ida was touching on. You can't look at things independently. You know, just like you can't say absolute time stands on its own and space stands on its own. There's a way in which all matter, all of us, and kind of are connected, like what Brother Kwame was trying to say about the wave and the particles. Also, it also made me think about how the racists tell us that, oh, you just forget about your history, we're in a different time now. Are we really, if all space and time kind of mesh together, how can we forget our history? Because it makes us who we are. It has made us who we are. And therefore, if we don't know that history, then it's kind of incomplete. And you can't do that with matter. Like the author is saying here, everything is just connected, is what it's saying to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Mara. Let's now go to Hegel and Wash. Hegel. Right, Hegel is not speaking. Let's go back to Brother Coco again. Brother Coco. Right, we can't hear from Brother Coco. So let's go to so we've heard from everyone. Dekin Mauli, you've just arrived. Are you able to say anything on what is on the screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So let's go back to Brother DJ Mr. P to ask his question, and then we'll come to Brother Patrick also to his question, and we'll answer them. Thank you. DJ.
Thank you, Kwame. Going back to what Brother Carrington, thanks very much for your explanations earlier. And going back to what you were saying, I had a few questions because I'm trying to get my head around much of what was said, but there are some things that for me were missing. So you gave the example earlier of a vehicle. You spoke about sound in your example, and the vehicle coming towards you and how the sound changes as it goes away from you. Yeah. Were you describing the Doppler effect?
Yes, yes, I was describing the Doppler effect, yeah.
Right, okay, great. So I'm with you on that, yeah. Now,
what is that?
Sorry?
What is that?
Oh, all right. The Doppler effect is where, as Brother Carrington explained, where you have a sound approaching you, it sounds different when it approaches you compared to when it's leaving you. And that's because of the compression of the air. So due to air compression and rarefaction, the frequency of the sound will actually change as the object moves. and please, Dr. Carrington, correct me if I'm wrong in that, but that's my understanding of the Doppler effect. So it's, for example, you are standing stationary in one position. A police car is coming from the left, and as it approaches you, the sound gets louder, and the frequency will change as it passes you and goes across to the right-hand side. So we've heard that all the time, and that is called the Doppler effect. Am I correct in explaining that, Carrington?
Yes, that is essentially correct. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
So, word for me, please.
Sorry.
D-O. Spell.
Doppler. D-O-P-P-L-E-R. Doppler. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Doppler. D-O-P-P-L-E-R. So, as we all know, sound needs a medium in which to travel, right? And that medium is air. Now, when you spoke about light, that's where I got a little confused, because you were talking about ether, not plasma. I was going to say plasma, ether, and the fact that light doesn't need a medium through which to travel. So I'm looking at the situation regarding sound, and that makes perfect sense. But with light, it doesn't. Now, is that because light is vibrating at a much higher frequency that it doesn't need a medium? Or is that's one question. Another question is, this ether that we speak of in space, what is space? What is in space? We know that on Earth we have an atmosphere, and the atmosphere comprises of a mixture of gases: nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and inert gases. But out in space, there's no atmosphere. So if there's no atmosphere, what is there? And if there is something, is that the ether? And if that's the ether, then that's still a medium that light is using to propagate or move or transfer through. So I'm just quite unclear about all of that. Yeah, I know sound can travel through solids and through liquids. I'm well aware of that, but we're talking about light here.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm not clear.
Yeah, that's okay. Before Brother Carrington comes with the physics, let me tell the ordinary day-to-day meaning. What it's saying is that whereas sound needs a medium to travel, light has the ability to travel without a medium. Light doesn't need a medium to travel through. That is the nature of light. And the physicists were wrong to think that light needed a medium to travel through. And they call it ether, which the Michelson-Morley experiment showed didn't exist. So when the experiment showed that something the physicists had believed didn't exist, they needed to come up with a new explanation for light. Yeah, and that is where Einstein comes in. What we are saying here is that Einstein's intervention then created a space.
So sorry, brother, you're breaking up, Kwame. Your signal, you're breaking up.
Us as Africans to begin. Okay, let me pause. I think I've said enough. Brother Carrington, continue.
No, we wanted to hear what he created.
What who created?
You know, Einstein created the space, and you were going into that.
Yeah, so basically, Einstein dispensed with the ether. Einstein basically said that for light to travel, it does not need space. And then through the calculations he showed that. So Einstein's explanation basically saying that we don't need light does not need a medium to travel. Light travels at a constant speed. It doesn't matter were in space. Now, what is space? Space is matter. This is why we are saying that when we say matter, we have been brought up to see matter as something that you can touch and see and feel and so on. That kind of matter is the mundane or the way in which ordinary people talk about matter. In the same way as when ordinary people talk about materialism, they mean things like, oh, he's too materialistic, meaning you want to build houses or you want to buy cars, and so you are too materialistic, you know, that you should be spiritual, don't be too materialistic. That is not what we mean by materialism. The materialism that we are talking about in this class, that Nkrumah is drawing to our attention, is a philosophy which most Africans were never introduced to. We were introduced to idealism, especially through church and the mosque and so on. But we were not introduced to idealism. There's a group of black people who have been taking this further, and they've been shunned by their communities. They have a separate group and they meet. At least we are meeting here and talking. But they actually do not even African because of our pervasive belief in the spiritual and in God and so on and so forth. Yeah, I don't want to deviate too much, but what I'm saying is that the materialism that we are discussing here is a philosophy.
Yeah.
It's a philosophy of the universe. So when we say matter, it doesn't mean that it's something that has to be touched and that can be seen. After all, solid is matter, gas is matter, yeah, and liquid is matter, plasma is matter. But there's another dimension of matter which is being called dark matter, and nobody knows what that one is. Apparently, it forms at least 85% of our universe, but nobody knows what that is. But what we do know is that outside our solar system is only just, it's all space.
Brother, we're losing you, man. You're breaking up. I don't know if it's my line, but I think you're breaking up.
Is.
Even this area we are talking about is only within a certain.
Yeah, we're losing you, Kwame. Brother, we're losing you, man. Your signal is breaking up.
Above sea level that you have air. If you go and air doesn't exist. So even this area, I am being interfered with. Brother Carrington, can you carry on? Answer, brother DJP's question, because apparently the enemy doesn't want me to talk too much. So you carry.
Yeah, you're being blocked, man. You're being blocked.
As to the first question, light is a very, and as Brother Christian has said, light is a very, very strange sort of, is a very, very strange substance.
Yeah.
So let us go back to the ideas, the basic ideas that were developed in the late 19th century. This idea that a current, an electric field moving, has a magnetic effect, and we get taught this stuff in high school, and
flux.
Flux, exactly, magnetic, and a magnet can also induce a current, right?
Correct.
Maxwell, at around this period, realized that these two effects, I think one is called the Ampere effect and the other one is called the Faraday effect. These effects could be combined in a chain. So a changing electric field can create a changing magnetic field, which will create another changing magnetic field, which will create another changing electric field.
And a changing current.
Yes, exactly. So you're creating a changing electric field is called a current, and a changing electric field creates a current creates a changing magnetic field, and it creates a chain. Changing electric fields, creating changing magnetic fields, creating changing electric fields, and so on and so forth. This thing combined is called an electromagnetic wave. And this is exactly light, right? So Maxwell, for some reason, and it's very difficult to develop physical theories, he has the genius to realize this, that electric fields can create magnetic fields and vice versa, and this can go on forever, and this is what we call light. But he still persists in this idea that all waves must come with media that carries them. And yet it so happens that this process of electric and magnetic fields mutually creating each other can occur in vacuum. It can occur in vacuum. And therefore, by implication, light does not need a wave. Sorry. Light is a wave, but the wave does not need a medium.
A medium, yeah.
Exactly. Because the mechanics of this can happen in vacuum. And this is clearly true because astronauts, satellites, Earth observation satellites can send
they work. Yeah, they work
very unproblematically to us through vacuum. Okay.
Thank you, brother Karen. Have you finished? Sorry.
No. There's a second, much more difficult question.
I think there's more.
Yeah. So the question of, okay, fine, we are talking about space. We are saying it's physical. And the question everybody asks about anything physical is, what is it made of? Yeah, it is a simple, what is this cup made of? What is this charging cable made of? That, brother, Mr. DJ Mr. P, you have gotten to the borders of all we know about physics. So the real answer to that question, and I think it is an opportunity for Africans to start participating in high energy physics research, is that we do not know what space-time is made out of. Now, there are theories of atoms of space-time called simplices. I will type that in after I speak. Basically, small triangles that combine combine and glue into each other, and they are 4-dimensional triangles. They are not the triangles we are used to create the space and time we see, and that these particles essentially of space-time are created as the universe expands, as I discussed last week. But this is only a theoretical idea. It's an idea in theoretical high energy physics, but it has not yet been tested and proven to be true. But nonetheless, the idea that space-time has materiality, it is a physical object, is supported by tests, empirical tests on the theories of special and general relativity. But nonetheless, what it is made up of is an unanswered question. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Let's go to Brother Patrick. Brother, I'll come back to you. Brother Patrick, ask your question now, please.
Yes. Just quickly, just say thanks for the opportunity.
Sorry, Patrick, you're breaking up, Patrick. Not getting you at all, man.
I don't know, educational studies and things.
Patrick, we didn't get what you said, man. Your line was breaking up.
Sorry. Can you get me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
it's better. Carry on.
Yeah, I was saying thanks for the education. That's why I've been with the group for so long. I don't know anything about physics, but it's so beautiful. But I just want to limit to one question, and that was based around what Brother Kwame was asking whether or not there was intelligence in matter, and ask Brother Carrington if he used the word want deliberately. because there was a point when he was explaining and he was saying a particular material thing did not want some or wanted to do something.
Yeah, yeah.
So was he using that want deliberately? Because then he was confirming Brothers Kwame's idea. I don't know. Is that maybe if it wants it, then there is some
intelligence. Intelligence.
Yeah. I used it naughtily. I was trying to be naughty, but I'm sorry.
Okay.
So the idea is that basically this opposition of forces, what I would say is that almost everything in the universe is subject to trying to find some form of balance given an imbalance. Okay. It is, I won't call it a desire, but there is a tendency for systems in the universe to want to seek balance. So I am not a very light person. So when I sit in the seesaw with I don't know, my young cousin or my young brother or something like that, the universe will seek balance. It will seek to pull me down and pull him up, and the seesaw will stay that way unless one of us does something, provides an extra force that will disturb the
yin yang.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
This opposition of forces, this dialectic that we've been talking about exhaustively, it operates at the scale of the universe too. So I don't want to say the earth is wanting to follow this balance, but nonetheless, it is the motion of the earth is an effect of the balance of two forces.
Got it.
I'm with you now.
Thank you. And I was suggesting to us to think deeply and ask ourselves: do we think that the earth has a will to make sure we have seasons, we have sunshine on both sides of the earth? Is that the sun actually willing that? And if that is the case, does the earth have a will? Or what about the sun that is in the middle and everything revolving around it? Does the sun have a will? But hold on, our sun and our earth are in just one galaxy among many galaxies. So I'm raising this question because what we need to do as Africans, because usually when we are talking about these things, we tend to think in terms of society, and sometimes a small society, or even in terms of the human race. But what Nkrumah is telling us is that we need to think in universal terms. Let's think in universal terms. We need to look at where is our place in the universe. And the time is 8:55. So I don't want to continue because there are two hands up. Let me go to Brother Coco first and come to Brother Joseph, because Brother Coco, you haven't spoken, but I've asked you twice to speak, and you couldn't speak.
He's shy tonight.
So if you would like to speak, but make it short so that Brother Joseph can also speak, and then we'll bring the meeting to a close in 5 minutes.
Yes, I intend to take just 1 minute of your time. Thank you very much. I never did any physics, but I'm learning so much, and I'm realizing how important it is to our ideology, to conscientism, and to consciousness. Absolutely. But the question you're asking here is whether there is an external force changing or dictating how our world has to.
No, I didn't say that. I am asking you, does the sun itself have a will inside it, not outside it? Inside it.
Let me finish.
No, you can finish,
Thank you.
but don't. But hold on, no, you can finish, but don't misquote me, because that's not what I said.
This is me trying to be. How do you call it?
Don't misquote me, because I never said it has an external anything.
Fine, that's all right. I did read one of those Jehovah's Witnesses newsletters a long time ago when I used to be a believer, which was making a case for there being a God. Why is our climate so pleasant, so balanced, so everything? So I think the lesson tonight is about the intelligence of the planet, the intelligence of the earth. the intelligent of purpose and the consciousness coming out of something without purpose and consciousness. I think that is the thing of what I've read tonight.
Yeah. That is a problem, because it's as if we can't think that something that we think hasn't got a mind somehow can do purposeful things. So has a tree got a mind? Does a tree think? How come the palm tree produces palm wine? So where is that thinking? Well, it's instinct. Well, I know it's instinct. So does a tree have instinct? And I'm just throwing this out there.
Exactly. It's everything. It's nature. Everything is written in nature itself.
Okay? Yeah, I think
let's hear from.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hear from
right.
brother. Yeah, thanks, brother Coco. Brother, we've got 2 minutes left. Brother Coco said 1 minute, but he took 4 minutes. brother Joseph, come in, please.
Yeah, I don't think I will take more than 2 minutes. I think in the context of what we've been saying all evening is that this could be said. Everything is in relationship with something else or some other stuff. There's nothing independent in the universe. Everything is connected.
Correct.
Like for instance, when we breathe, I mean, it affects every other thing. Other people breathe in, take in the trees and everything. Everything is in working in some way together. But I want to be in relationship with something else, or seek to. Maybe want is not the proper word, but seems to be want to be in relation. But I would leave you folks here based on the last Brother Coco. I will quote to you a scripture, not because I'm religious, but I think it's sort of aid to our conversation. It's from Ecclesiastic 3 verses 15. It says, whatever is has already been, and whatever will be has been before, and God will call the past to account. I just thought I would share that
the part you are quoting, brother Joseph, is Ecclesiastics, the philosopher.
Yeah.
So you are quoting biblical philosophy for us. Thank you very much, everyone. It's 9 o'clock, and I'm very jealous of time. I don't want us to go beyond our time. Just to let us know that we are meeting in the same space on Saturday to discuss the second part of the Carlson-Putin interview, its implications for the political economy of Africa, because Pigeon said some things that we need to take note of. So, for example, people don't realize that it is not true that the strategic competitor of the Caucasian, and the Americans keep saying that their strategic competitor is China. We disagree. Their real strategic competitor is the African, because the day that Africa wakes up, that is it. That is the end of everything. So we are the real competitors. So let's end there, and see you, as many of you as can come on Saturday. In the meantime, please have a wonderful evening, and goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
I want you to pay attention to what's happening in Haiti. Some interesting things are happening in Haiti.
Okay.
Great.
I want to stop the recording.
Good session, guys.
Please, feel free to leave. I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to get the recording to stop. So have a nice evening, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, cool.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
See you on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.